Broadcast for shooters, hunters, and gun enthusiasts. This is the Firearms Radio Network.
Hi, we are here at SHOT Show 2014 on day 3, and I'm standing here with my fellow canton instructor, Mr. Travis Haley. How you doing, Travis?
Great, how are you?
Doing great. A little tired, but hanging in there. We're almost done with this year's SHOT Show, but there's been a lot of exciting things. If you could tell viewers a little bit about you and your background and what brought you to the firearms industry.
Oh boy, well, that's a loaded question. Let's see. Well, I started out, hunting and fishing as a kid with my dad growing up in northern Florida, and always kind of grew up on their blood-soaked war stories of World War II, my father's stories in the Air Force and everything else, so I always felt that I needed to do something to contribute more, to do more than what is required of me or anybody else in society, I guess. Cheesy story. So I did. I joined the military when I was 17 years old. Was at it from that point on, and one day I realized that I was a why guy. I asked too many questions in the military, and of course would get hammered for it. And I never understood why. And I found out that I was more of a why guy than a how and a what guy, even though I'm really good at the how and the what, and giving that to other people. But I always have had this desire, this burning passion inside to find out more about what we do and why we do it, the way we do it. So that's led to pretty much, that's kind of a nutshell story of my entire career. And here I am, I'm still here. So.
Now, how long ago did you start Haley Strategic?
Haley Strategic is about 3 years old. And yeah, that's about 3 years now. I guess to this month.
Oh wow! Yeah. Congratulations on your 3-year anniversary.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, tell them a little bit about your training that you offer.
Well, our training kind of goes a lot with the mindset and the methodologies and theory that I have on why, and taking a little bit deeper dive into what we do. So, for example, like this year, we're doing some things that I believe are going to be turning heads, not necessarily changing what people do, but changing maybe how they think about how they think. And that's important. If you're just thinking better, which is our motto, thinkers before shooters, then you're going somewhere. Instead of being in a system or a recipe, which I cannot stand. People say, oh, you think outside the box. You know what, I can't stand boxes. I crush boxes. I don't believe in them, because even though some of them are good, what I want to crush is the mentality of the system, okay? The institutional inertia. Even though some of them are great, even though military and law enforcement, you may have 400,000 people you have to train a year, that's fine. We need a policy, we need procedures, we need programs of instruction, but how do you go about developing them, and how do you go about educating, motivating, and inspiring the people that you want to touch in the training world? That's how I think of it. So, like, for example, we're doing our D5 science program this year, and it's been a huge success. It dives into a lot of the biomechanics of what we do. So where a lot of people will say, well, hey, grip a gun, get a good stance. Well, what does that truly mean? So we dive into the biomechanics, just like professional athletes or the Olympics or NASA would. I've got sports performance doctors, psychologists on staff. We have weekly meetings where we dive in deeper to what we do, just like an Olympic athlete would, to understand how to grip a gun better, based on science, not some system. Because my problem with the system, systems have limitations. And if you want to live inside of a system, just keep in mind that you are limited to the system's limitations only. You can't go beyond it if that's your mindset. So we try to get people's mindset outside of that. Again, not changing what they do, but maybe implementing a little bit more about science and everything around us that we use on a daily basis into something as simple as shooting. We have brain mapping. Brain mapping is pretty cool. It's something that we're doing this year where we are actually doing neuro and biofeedback. We're hooking up shooters on these systems. So we're playing all types of different games, drills, and we are trying to find where the brain is actually activated, if the frontal lobes are engaged, if your beta and theta levels are where they need to be. So, and this helps in life in general. And that's what a lot of about my shooting courses are. They're not just shooting. You can ask anybody. It's about life in general. What can you do right now out here to make yourself better on the range and better in a critical stress situation? There's a lot that people don't realize. So we show them that. We show them that, like, just right now in a simple conversation, we can engage the frontal lobe and actually have a better conversation with somebody in life, whether it's our spouse or whether it's a traffic contact and a law enforcement officer who's got to communicate effectively and understand and see everything before it happens. Or a military guy trying to make a critical decision overseas somewhere and he's got men that are looking up to him. Or maybe it's himself that he's looking up to. So we really take that deeper dive into the science aspects. And then when next time you go out to the range and you see that front sight, you see it a little bit differently. Or maybe you don't see the front sight because we focus on things like target accommodation, which is, you can look it up. It's an actual visual expert terminology which explains the true focus of the human eye. Not what some system says with get a clear front sight or get a point shoot method or some other system. It's like it constantly changes. That's why I have the dragonfly as my logo, because it's a creature of the wind. It's constantly adapting and changing because the wind is never the same. But we're no different in a life or death situation, because if NFL quarterbacks, NASCAR, NASA, fighter pilots are doing some of the brain mapping stuff, the biomechanical aspects of what they do, most of the time, yeah, we're not playing a game. And so that's where I'm trying to take it.
Yeah,
that's
what's happening. You definitely can't start over. You can't hit reset. And a lot of critical dynamic incidents in life, you have one chance.
That's right. That's right. And that's the moment that you don't get to choose. It chooses you. And so what have you done up until that moment? Well, again, and I see a lot of guys, a lot of buddies of mine that aren't here today because we lived under a specific system and we couldn't think outside that system. And it can kill you quicker than a bullet. And that's what I'm trying to not change, but just make people think about, because it's serious.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And I think that people respect the fact that as an instructor you take a deeper look into these things, because they are investing their lives in a certain type of training and a certain type of skill set that they may have to employ someday. And so it really does make a difference what they're learning, what they're practicing. So I applaud you for that.
Well, that's a key word, is practice. There's a lot of guys out there, gals and us, I practice. I go to the range, I practice. I go to the gym, I practice. I do extreme sports, I practice. But how do you practice? Deliberate practice is what really makes sense. And that's where your true talents will come out, when you understand what deliberate practice is. Not just go to the range and fire 50 rounds and you got a rat hole like this in your target, you're like, I'm good. That's not what deliberate practice is. So I use I played football when I was a kid growing up. It's like and a lot of people can relate to sports out there. When you go to practice for a sport, whether it's baseball, football, hockey, you name it, you don't go and scrimmage every day. Coach doesn't make you play the game every day. He makes you work on the processes that are in order to achieve the goal, necessary to achieve the goal. And so when people come to a training class, they want to play the game for 3 days. And it's like, wait, stop. Let's work on the processes in order to achieve the goal. And all of a sudden, when you play the game, you'll be amazed at how much better you are. So that's what we're really focusing on.
That's great. Now you also have a product side of the business as well, don't you?
We do. We have 3 different units to Haley Strategic. We have the training side, obviously, which is our core. That's where we get a lot of the requirements, being out there with those guys in the field. And we bring that back to the product development team. I've always been a big tinker. I'm always a builder. I'm a self-taught machinist. I'm a self-taught sewer, so I sew all my own equipment, self-prototyping from my parachute background. So yeah, the training is a core, dives into the product development unit. We do original products for ourselves. We do innovations for other companies, and that's kind of the goal of the strategic partnership aspects of Haley Strategic. And then we have the marketing unit, which is an experiential marketing unit. It's a little bit different than what everybody else does, because we like to give this industry, the shooting communities, stories about people. Because, I mean, you got a lot of gear in this place right now, right?
Yeah.
It's not about the gear in here. That's just gear. That's just material things. What about the people that use this stuff? And that's what we tell those stories about. So we take something, give it legs, and let it go. Where advertising is just something that defends a brand. It doesn't build a brand. It doesn't help create an emotional bond between, the consumer and the product, or the training, for example. So we try to work with that, because that's what these people need.
And you could probably agree that students and people who want training, they want quality gear, but they may not know everything about it, but they'll know how they felt about it, they'll know their experience with it, and especially when it comes to instruction, they want to get better, they want to do better, they want to learn more, and they want to have an experience that they can take away that encourages them to want to continue to train. That's the goal, right?
Absolutely. Again, there's a great how and what aspect of what we do, but just always ask yourself why you do it that way. Whether it's equipment, whether it's the technical, tactical, and physical aspects of what we do, which is what a lot of us tend to concentrate on, going and playing that game for 3 days, but how often do we take a step back and really learn about ourselves? The mental aspects, the cognitive, the cognitive aspects, or who are we instinctually? Because that's what's going to tell you a lot about yourself. And so I dive into that when I'm looking at products or when I'm looking at training. A student, a person that came to me to learn, I need to understand that person first before I just give them a recipe.
Sure. And if you have no evaluation, you don't really know what they need. You can't really train them. I think that that's great. I hope that the people that are watching will want to find more information about you, and could you tell them where they can do that?
Sure, you can go to HaleyStrategic.com. We've got a training page, product development page in the store, because we do sell products from our partners and ourselves. Training schedule is live right now. We're adding a bunch more courses, so stay tuned for that. If they're not in your area, they might be, and especially with the brain mapping courses, those are still to come, and that's it.
Yeah, and you can also tune into the Pursuit channel because we got Make Ready TV with Panteo Productions. It's going now, so I think we've got a lot of episodes coming up, and you can do some training with us online at PanteoProductions.com as well. And Travis, thanks so much for taking some time, and look forward to all of this awesome stuff that you have to offer people, and catching up maybe with you a little bit later on in the year to see what it's all about.
Awesome. Thanks
for being with us. All right. Thanks for joining us, and stay tuned for some more interviews from SHOT Show 2014.
This has been a production of the Firearms Radio Network. You can find more information at firearmsradio.tv.